Helieneyomba, 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 Helieneyomba.
Welcome to Lesson 17 of the Modern Maidu language class. Today we'll get started in the Modern Maidu Workbook and we'll also learn more about complex sentences. Lesson 1 in the Modern Maidu Workbook is making the most of the words we have. Before we start inventing new words that aren't in the dictionary, let's see if we already have the word as a synonym of the missing word. A synonym is a word that means the same thing. Let's practice trying to find synonyms for some words. Put it in a sentence. For example, senior citizen. I'm a senior citizen. I am an old person. Someone who's old. Oh, we do have that word. Nanope. What about climate? I don't know what the climate is in Argentina. I don't know what the weather is in Argentina. We do have that word, caro. About overpriced. Wow, these t-shirts are overpriced. They're expensive. We do have that word, helmono. In Lesson 1, page 15 of the Modern Maidu Workbook, you'll find the first exercise. Let's do the first one together. Click on. You see the sentence, click on that word, and click on is underlined. What English word could you substitute, since click on is not in the dictionary, to get the same meaning as click on? You might say select, choose, or tap on. Thinking of all the substitute words you can use that have the same meaning to the sentence, check each one to see if it's in the Maidu dictionary. If I look up tap in the Maidu dictionary, there is a word tap, like a woodpecker taps, bodato. So I could use that Maidu word to mean click on. Or I might want to use the word meaning choose or select. Those are in the dictionary, buyuksip. So I could use this word for click on if I want. Usually you have some choices. One thing you want to be clear on when trying to find a synonym is to make sure you really know what the word means in English. We're so used to using words without thinking about their exact meanings. On page 16, there's a short list of words in English. You can look these up in a regular English dictionary. Do they mean exactly what you thought? Can you think of a synonym for each of those words? Besides a dictionary, another handy book is a thesaurus. A thesaurus is a book that lists words that have the same or similar meaning. Of course, you can use an online dictionary or a thesaurus. You don't have to have the actual books. I used thesaurus.com to find synonyms for the Maidu words we already have when I was working on the Modern Maidu Workbook. If you're looking for a word but it's not in the Maidu dictionary, type the word in at thesaurus.com and it will give you a list of words that either have the same meaning or a slightly different meaning. Then you can try looking those words up in our Maidu dictionary. Maybe we already have one of those. To get more practice with synonyms, do the exercises on page 15 through 19 in Modern Maidu. Synonyms can help us find more Maidu words that we may already have. Now we're going to switch to today's grammar, continuing with complex sentences. Last time we learned about complex sentences where the dependent clause's verb ends in dom. We learned that you can translate the dom word as ing in English, or maybe improve the English translation by adding the word if, when, while, since, or because, and repeat the same subject as the main verb in the main part of the sentence, the mama bear. The important things to remember about a dependent clause in dom is that the person doing the action in the dependent clause is the same as the person doing the action in the main clause, and that the two actions are more or less simultaneous, happening around the same time. For example, if you want to eat, eat. You want to eat and you eat around the same time. When I come here, I intend to be very hungry. When I come here in the future, I will be very hungry at that same time. While I'm waiting for a fork, I want to eat some of your fries. I'm waiting for a fork at the same time I want to eat some of your fries. So see, they happen around the same time. Today we'll learn some other endings besides dom that also keep the same subject as the main clause, but they don't happen at the same time as the main clause. They happen before the action of the main clause. The first one of these endings is weten, meaning after doing. You've already heard the word a weten, which we translate as then. Like a dom, a weten is the short verb a, meaning do or say, plus an ending like dom or weten. So we translate a dom as and when it really means while doing. We translate a weten as then when it really means after doing. A dom and a weten usually link two sentences. For example, Kalekachoya a weten bischoya. He got married and then he stayed there. In a complex sentence, the dependent clause ending in dom happens around the same time as the main clause, but the dependent clause ending in weten happens before the main clause. Let's look at some examples. Ama me weten donino cum mas. After taking that, I held on to it. Or after I took that, I held on to it. Just like with the dom dependent clause or bear cub, it repeats the same subject as the mama bear main clause, in this case, I. We know I is the subject because of the cum mas ending. Ama me weten donino cum mas. Me weten means after taking. You might be surprised to see that me means take, when a verb that sounds almost exactly like it, me, means the opposite, give. I will play recordings of both and see if you hear the slight difference. Here's me, give.
Me. Me.
Here's me, take.
Me.
Me.
Can you hear the difference? You may have to figure it out from context if you can't hear the difference. That is what it means in the sentence. It'll either be give or take. Should be able to tell. Now let's listen to Mame Gallagher say two sentences, including Ama me weten donino cum mas.
From Skam Ipanakam Kumam Mamuk Kapotam Kanaidi Ama Mewetin Donino cum mas.
She says, and his gun was under his coat. Kuma'am is was. Kuma'am. Mamuk kapota means his coat. Mamuk is like maki, his or her. Kanai means under. Repeat, kanai. Kampotan kanaidi is the same type of phrase as Sam inkidi or habom kuna. Instead of at the fireside or towards the house's back, she's saying at the coat's underside. Repeat under his coat. Mamuk kapotang kanaidi. Now back to what she did with that pandaka, that gun. Ama meweten donino cum mas. Taking that, I kept it, or I hung on to it. To sound a little more natural, you could say, after I took that, I hung on to it. Let's listen again and repeat after her.
From Skam Ipanakam Kumam Mamuk Kapotam Kanaidi Ama me weten niu kumas.
Here's another one. Wasasa yahati bos weten anodoi kumas. What's the subject? I. We know from kumas. What do you think anodoi means? The doi infix can mean up or start to do. So in this case, start to travel, start to go. Once again, like last lesson, we're repeating the same subject as the main clause in the dependent clause. In this case, I. I started off. Wasasa yahati boswetin unodoi kumas. The word yahati, make it good, make it right, make it safe, fix it, organize it, is used a lot and has so many meanings. Adding the bos infix means you finish or complete doing it. You've got it completely organized. What do you think yahati boswetin means? After I finished organizing it. Wasasa yahati boswetin unodoi kumas. After I finished organizing things, I started off. In other words, I started to go. Now listen to Mame Gallagher say it, adding school koidom, going off to school, and repeat after her.
Wasasa yahati bos weten nore kumas. School koido.
Here's another similar one.
Chiu bos weten Niki wasasa me weten ugoi kumas.
What's the subject? I. Akoi kumas. I left. The subject I from the mama bear main clause gets repeated in the dependent clause with weten. Notice that when you have two verbs with the same ending in one sentence, like chibos weten and me weten, you could translate it into English with and in between. After I finished getting dressed, and I took my things. Remember, Maidu does not really have or need the word and, but in English it sounds better with and. Listen again and repeat. After I finished getting dressed and took my things, I left.
Chiu bos weten Niki wasasa me weten ugoi kumas.
Here's another one. Amadi anoweten maide pakal kumas. Who's the subject? Not maide, there's no M on the end of maide. The subject is I. You can tell by the kumas ending. I paid the man. Amadi anoweten maide pakal kumas. What does that mean? After going there, I paid the man. Or, after I went there, I paid the man. Now listen to Mame Gallagher adding to this sentence.
Dom yino dom volek hutelaka. Madin weten maide pakalkumas Niki tuima.
Yinodom is related to yin pin, welcome or come on down. It's also related to no, go, but that extra N means going downwards. That N is an infix. Remember that the old Maidu buildings were built down into the ground, so going into a building usually meant going down in. Even when referring to modern buildings, Maidu people still used words that meant go down in for entering a building. So we should too. Yinodom woliki hotelika. Going down into that white man's hotel. Repeat, Yinadom woliki hutelika. Then she says, Amadi no weten. What does that mean? After traveling there. Maidamum pakalkub mas niki tuimape. This is the main clause, the main sentence that has a main verb. What is the main verb? Pakalkum mas. Remember that the mas shows us the subject is I. I paid. I paid that man for where I would sleep. Niki tuimape. She says maida mum for that man instead of mum maida. But we're used to words being in different orders, right? We're used to that now. Let's think about the sequence of events she's mentioning. In Maidu sentences, the main verb is usually the last thing that happens in the sequence. So, what was the last thing that happened? I paid that man. Then remember, the dom word happens around the same time as the main verb action. So, what happened around the same time as she paid the man? Coming down into the hotel, or when I came down into the hotel. So, the last things that happened in the sentence were, when I came down into the hotel, I paid that man for my room. But something else happened before that, the verb that ends in weten. What is it? Uno weten, after I traveled. Amadi uno weten means after I traveled there. Of course, the I subject is from the main clause, the mama bear, I paid. It's going to be the same. Now, let's listen to the whole sentence again so you can get the big picture of the sequence of events.
Yinodom wolik hutelaka. Madin weten maidamum pakalkum mas niki tuimape.
When I came down into that white man's hotel, after I traveled there, I paid that man for my room. As you can expect in Maidu, the order of the clauses can be anything. The weten clause can come before or after the dom clause or the main clause. In English, we would depend on the order more. We might say, I traveled there, then I went inside, then I paid. All listed in order. In Maidu, you need to pay attention to the word endings to figure out what happened first, next, and last. I'm going to play two complex sentences using dom and weten, but you will need a few new words to understand. Bomuti means be pitiful. Repeat. Bomuti. Woko means be tired. Repeat. Woko. Okit means come down. Okit. Now listen to Mame Gallagher and see if you can tell what she's saying. Bomutidom, wokodom, okitdom. What does that mean? 3 dom words in a row. Being pitiful and being tired when coming down. I could put an and in between all of them if I want. We'll work on this a little more when we get the whole sentence. We have the main verb, wemen kumam. Who's doing the action? Third person, in this case, he. Wemen kumam means he didn't speak or he didn't say anything. Repeat. Wemen kumam. He didn't say anything. Now let's listen again and translate the whole sentence. Since he was very pitiful and tired when he came down, he didn't say anything. So you see, when there's more than one dome word, you may be using more than one of those connecting words: if, when, while, since, or because. You have to figure out which makes the most sense. Of course, if you just put ing on those dome words when you translate into English, you do get the meaning. Being pitiful, being tired, coming down. Next, Mame Gallagher says another complex sentence.
weten yatan
Lukta means climb up on top of. You might recognize look, crawl or climb, which refers to going in and out of a building by crawling or climbing. A while back we had lukuno in a dialogue, meaning go in to the restaurant. Really it means crawl in. Ta is an infix meaning on top of. Repeat climb on top of. Lukta. In this case, it's climbing up on top of a stagecoach. Can you tell what the whole sentence means in English? Lukta weten be, yahat batano mam, tetet wiset dom. After climbing up on top then, he drove well, being very scared. Or you could make it more like we talk. After he climbed up on top, he drove well, since he was very scared. Wiset dom means being scared. Now listen to Mame Gallagher say both sentences together, since it's part of her story, and repeat after her.
weten yat batana tet set dom.
Before I play the next one, a few new words. You know that the word kai with a regular K means tell, like kai kasmin means I told you. Kai with a special K means evening. Kaina means towards evening. Repeat, kaina. Wowo means lay something or somebody down. Wowomit means lay down into, like into a drawer or suitcase. Wowomit. What do you think this means? Niki wasasa niki hadoi kadi wowomit bos kumas. I finished laying my things down into my suitcase. The bos infix means finished doing or did all of it. Wowomit bos kumas. Hesbo is a root that means bringing all kinds of things in one place. Hesbo moto adds the infix moto, meaning together. Bring things together. Repeat, hesbo moto. As you may remember, wiset means be scared. If you repeat part of this word and say wiset set, it means be a little scared, like be worried or uneasy. Repeat, wiset set. Now, I hope with those new words you might understand what Mame Gallagher is saying in this complex sentence.
Adom be kana wiset sit dom be niki wasasa iska hesbo moto eten iskadi niki hadoi kadi womomit boskumas.
What is the main verb of the sentence? Wowomit bos kumas. You can tell by the mas ending that the subject is I. What does it mean? I laid it all down in. What about kaina with set dom? Towards evening, being uneasy. And what about niki wasasa hespo moto weten? After getting my stuff together. And then towards evening, being uneasy then, after getting my stuff together, I laid it all down in my suitcase. Then you can take the translation to the next level of sounding like everyday English. And then towards evening, since I was uneasy then, after I got my stuff together, I laid it all down in my suitcase. Notice how all the dependent clauses, all the bear clubs, repeat the subject I, the same as the mama bear. Listen to it again and repeat.
Adom be kana we set dom be niki wasasa iska hesbo moto weten iskadi niki kadoi kadi wonom mas.
Here's another one. Makan means same. Repeat makan. Kapumi means bark of a tree. Repeat kapumi. Listen to Mame Gallagher.
Tawabos kusin makan isek iskam kapumi hubona yewe usais.
Now, I swear I hear her saying tawalbos wesen instead of tawalbos weten, even though Shipley wrote it with a T. I did a little research and found Mame Gallagher says weten twice as wesen in the recordings, and all the other times she says weten. And no one else says wesen in the recordings or Tom Young stories, so I'm not sure how to interpret that. So let's just assume she's saying weten and not wesen from what we know right now. What is the subject of the main clause? We all. How do you know? The usa s ending. We all used to do. So, what does the sentence mean?
Tawabos kusin makan isek iskam kapumi hubona yewe usais.
After finishing work, we used to go back to our same bark house. Or, after we all finished our work, we used to go back to our same bark house. See that second one, I repeated, we. Another ending similar to weten is yatan. Weten means after doing, and yatan means after doing for a while. This isn't as common as weten, but we will run into it once in a while. Here's one from the old Tom Young stories. Yapidom bisyatan akoichoya. Being embarrassed after staying a while, he left. We could translate that into more everyday English by saying, he stayed a while, then, since he was embarrassed, he left. Notice I repeated he in all three clauses. The mama bear clause is akoichoya, he left. Then we have two dependent clauses, bear cubs. one ending in dom, and one ending in yatan. These all have the same subject as the mama bear clause, he. See if you can understand what Mame Gallagher is saying here.
Pinkenuyatan be tubushno wo usaisi.
What is the main verb of the sentence? Tuibos no wo usasi. Based on the ending, who is the subject? The subject is we all. That bunch of us. You can tell the word tuibos no wo has to do with sleep because of the tui. The no and wo infixes add the meaning of drifting off. Can you guess what the whole verb tuibos no wo means? Completely drift off to sleep. So the main clause is, we all used to completely drift off to sleep. What does pinkenuyatan mean? After listening for a while. After listening for a while, we all used to completely drift off to sleep. That bunch of us. Or you could make the English translation sound a little better by saying, we all listened for a while, then we used to completely drift off to sleep. Let's listen to Mame Gallagher say it again and repeat after her.
Pinkenuyatan be tubushno wo usaisi.
Here's another one using yatan from Dan Williams.
Amani matam Nick Beckham Tawalatan upindam odom nuki andak bemarai get mau kidam.
What is the main sentence? This is the main verb machoyam partnering with upindom, which is not right after it. Machoyam upindom. He was apparently coming down. Who's the subject? Nick Beckham, my father. There are two dependent clauses. This mama bear has two cubs. Can you find them? Tawalyatan is one, after working for a while. The other one is longer. Orom duki andukbe ma'at aikate maha okitdom. Orom duki means a bag of gold. Repeat, orom duki. You might remember, duki is a bag with a drawstring, unlike a wadapi. Then Dan Williams says, andukbe ma'at. About this size. He's probably showing what size with his hands as he talks. Repeat the phrase, about this size, I figure. Anduk be ma'at aikate. Now the dom word, which is the bear cub verb, mahao kitdom, carrying in the hand while arriving. Maha okitdom. See the word ma in their hand. So to translate the whole sentence directly, it would be, after working for a while, my father was apparently coming down, carrying in his hand, as he got there, a bag of gold, I guess about this size. That's a pretty complex sentence, don't you agree? Maidu is full of long and complex sentences. The other ending we'll learn today, besides weten and yatan, is wonom. What verb does wonom sound like? The verb wono, die. The older meaning behind the word for die seems to be complete. When you die, you complete your life. The grammar endings like wono and wonom all show completion, being finished, being done. A dependent clause verb ending in wonom can be translated as having done. The action is completed before the other actions in the sentence even start. A new word you need for this next sentence is hadoikit, meaning load up and haul it somewhere. Repeat hadoikit. Listen to Mame Gallagher use the wonom ending in this complex sentence.
Amade kikas be muim tem rikno weten bedoikinunam iskam train iskadam boche edom.
What is the main verb? Kakas. But wait, kakas has a verb partner and it is way at the other end of the sentence. It's bocheadom. I know it's confusing when one of the dome words is a verb partner instead of a dependent clause, but we could tell it's that because of the kakas. And it's not at all unusual to have the main verb be at the other end of the sentence from its partner. Kakas is the main verb and the helping verb, and bocheadom is its partner. I am waiting for a train. Notice that Mame Gallagher uses the present imperfect tense, I am waiting, instead of the past tense, even though it's a story that took place a long time ago. This is a choice a storyteller has. They can use the present tense to talk about the past to make it seem more real to the listener. We do this in English too. When you tell someone a story of something that happened to you in the past, be aware of how many times you shift over to the present tense during your story to make it sound more vivid. So, I'm walking down the street and I see this guy I hadn't seen since high school. You say, I'm walking down the street and I see this guy instead of I walked down the street and I saw this guy. That's switching to the present tense. Or how about, I'm going into the store when 3 cop cars pull up. So instead of I was going to the store, I am going into the store. And instead of 3 cop cars pulled up, you say 3 cop cars pull up. You're talking in the present tense, but you're really telling a story in the past. So don't be surprised to find that Maidu speakers sometimes use the present tense too, like kakas with the verb partner in dome for a story that really took place in the past. Now, back to Mame Gallagher's sentence. Amari kakas be muyim tem odik noetin hadoi kit wonom train bochedom. We figured out that the main verb is kakas bochedom, I am waiting. Kakas train bochedom, I am waiting for a train. There are still 2 dependent clauses, 2 bear cubs in this sentence, adik noetin and hadoi kit wonom. What do they mean? Adik noetin means after getting there. Hadoi kit wonom means after having hauled it down. Which one happened first? First, she hauled her stuff down to the train station. You can tell it happened first because of the wonom ending. Remember, the wonom ending means it happened before the other actions even started. That ending shows it happened before the other actions in the sentence and was completed. Then she got to the train station, adik noetin. Now we're ready for the main clause. Amari kakas be muyim tem train bochedom. I'm waiting for the train there now. That child, after getting there, having loaded up and hauled my stuff, or you could translate, I had hauled my stuff, then got there, and now I'm waiting for a train as that child. She's talking about herself as that child, just being a little kid going through all that. Let's listen again to Mame Gallagher and repeat after her.
Amade kikas be muimtem riknu weten bedoikinu wonom. Iskam train iskadom boche edom.
Here's another example of a dependent clause ending in wonom. Listen to Roxy Pakanam.
Amakakos pinkanu wonom. Hukitik menku.
You remember the word hooky chick, right? Forget. Hooky chick men unim yawi. Don't forget this word. So, hooky chick men means don't forget. But why does it have a cum on the end? Do you remember the k ending that tells us your occupation or what you always do? You might remember from lesson 12 the distinction between the pe and k endings on nouns. The one who does something now ends in pe, or the one who always does it ends in k. Remember that? Hopefully you also remember from lesson 11 how pem can be a verb partner ending instead of dom with certain verb meanings. Well, cum can also be a verb partner ending. Can you guess the difference in meaning? Kakas hooky chick cum means I am one who always forgets, or I always forget. But Roxy Pakanam says hooky chick men cum. Whenever you add men before cum, it means never. Never do. Hooky chick men ku is one who never forgets. So, what do you think the sentence means? Ama kakas hooky chick men cum. Once again, the kakas goes with the last word in the sentence, hooky chick men cum. They're working as partners. I am one who never forgets, or I never forgot. Separating out the verb partners at opposite ends of the sentence is very common in Maidu. What about pinkinu wonom? Having listened. The ama in the sentence means it or that, referring to what she was just talking about before this sentence. Having listened to it, I never forgot it. Or, after I had listened to it, I never forgot it. Listen to Roxy Pakanam again and repeat.
Amakakos pinkanu wonom. Hukitik menku.
Now, let's practice a little. Translate into English. Unidi adiknoetin, akoidam, minki te nikdi bistimankano. Who's the subject? You. Minki te bistimankano means leave your kid. Where? Nikdi, at mine. This is how you say at my house. Nikdi. Unidi adiknoetin, after you get here. Akoidam, when you leave. Unidi adiknoetin, akoidam. Minki te nikdi bisti maankano. What does the whole sentence mean? After you get here, when you leave your kid at my house. Now repeat. Unidi adiknoetin, akoidom, Minkite nikdi bisti maakano. Now, going from English to Maidu, which is always harder, how would you say, after I had turned off the lights and got to my bed, I heard a car outside? First, think about what was the last thing that happened in this sequence of events. That will be your main sentence. What's the last thing? I heard a car outside. Puyadi kaleta pinkas. Puyadi kaleta pinkas. Or you could have said pinkumas if it was a while back. What you did first was turn off the light, and you finished doing that before you did the next thing. So, toyaku bukuiti means turn off the light. How would you say having turned off the light? Toyaka bukuiti wonom. Toyaka bukuiti wonom. Having turned off the light. Getting to your bed would be tuika udikno. And you will want to use either the dom or weten ending on adikno, depending on what you want to say. Niki tuika adikno weten means you got to your bed before you heard the car. Niki tuika adiknodom means you got to your bed about the same time as you heard the car. Makika. So let's repeat the whole sentence again. After I had turned off the lights and got to my bed, I heard a car outside. Toyaka bukuiti wonom, niki tuika adiknowetin, puyadi kaleta pinkas. So now you know how to understand and translate complex sentences where the dependent clauses have the same subject as the main clause. And you know how to talk about a sequence of events in Maidu where all the clauses in the sentence have the same subject. You have homework. I asked you to do the exercises in Modern Maidu up to page 19, just to make sure you understand those concepts. The answers are on page 337 in the Modern Maidu Workbook. I will post just a few more practice sentences with weten, yatan, and wonom as homework on our Facebook page, so you can practice translating this type of sentence. Next time, we'll learn how to express the same thing when one or more dependent clauses have a different subject from their mother, the main clause. Yahat bis pada, chaimin chamakas men.